Um, Coach Jared with the Daily News. Marshall, you get the rivalry series, mix it up a little bit this week with a Thursday, Sunday game instead of Friday, Saturday, like most of the conference schedule. Um, coming off of the performance at La Tech, split that series, I guess, how would you evaluate how conference play has started and what you're going to need to do to improve to try to get a couple of wins these next few days?
Yeah, first we'll try to get one win first, and one at a time. And that's just like the trip to La Tech. I'm worried about Friday before we worry about Saturday. We're going to worry about Thursday before we worry about Sunday. And so, I think we're getting better. Turnovers coming down. We need field goal percentage obviously to go up. The kids are getting a little bit more settled on the floor. We need to play better defense without fouling so much, so we can get a little bit more productivity and a little more mileage, so to speak, out of our bigs, out of Kulo and Hunter. We need them to be impactful. That affects us when they're not in the game. I feel like the players do well leading up to this initial game. So we've got to learn how to play that second game as well as we play that first game. We've got to be able to adjust to the adjustments. And so as we continue to grow and get experience, I think that'll also improve.
And with this Marshall team, it seems like they've struggled a little bit early on, 2-4 overall, 1-3 in conference play. But two of those conference losses come down to overtime. On paper or on film, what stands out to you about their team?
They're still aggressive. They still push the ball. They're still looking for quick shots. They got a bunch of players that could Savannah Wheeler, Pearson. They got kids that can go off and score a lot of points in a hurry. And they just haven't done that right now. And I think they're like a lot of us, still trying to figure out week by week, almost game by game, who you have, who's going to be able to play, who's quarantined, who's not able to play. I know they've got some really key players that aren't playing right now. Mayo, Civils, Roper. They got some players that really make them a better team. They haven't played since the first 2 games of the year. And so if they show up on Thursday, they're automatically a better team, better than the 56 points that they're averaging. And just like us, at some point when Raneem's able to play, that makes us a better team. And so I think they're just like everybody around the country, trying to figure out how to do the best they can and be the best they can be with the players that they've got out there. And those players are learning and getting experience just like every young man, every young lady across the country is doing right now.
Coach, this is Jeff Lights from WBKU. You mentioned Raneem. Is there a timetable when you expect Raneem to return to the lineup? Because I know there's like protocol and you don't just want to throw out there in a game. You want to get some practices in. So is there a set date or a set game that you plan on having her back?
Yeah, the timetable is yesterday. And yes, we will just throw her out there when she's ready to go. So we're still working through that, Jeff. It's a good question. It's a fair question. She's going through this process. And so we're getting closer, and we're hopeful at any minute, any day that she'll be able to play. She's anxious. She's wanting to play. She wants to pick up where she left off, and I keep telling her a day at a time. And I remind her yesterday, last week, she was in quarantine, on campus, but in quarantine. 2 weeks ago, she was in Egypt. I said, so you're not going to come back and pick up in 17 and 11, exactly where you left off, having not played this type of basketball for 7 months. I said, so just a day at a time. And that's what we've got to keep in mind when she gets out on the court, that she has a mental expectation of herself that makes her special. We've got to give her time for that physical performance to match that mental expectation that we all have and want her to get to. And she will. It just may not be the first game.
Coach, just following up on that, like how big will that be to have her back on your team? Like you said, 17 and 11 last year, and you even also mentioned we can't expect that first game back, but how big is that for your team to get Raneem back?
It's 6'4" big. And so she changes the floor for us because she gives us a presence inside, and not that Selma Kulo and Tori Hunter haven't done the best they can. They don't have the experience yet. They're both in their freshman season. And if you think back to where Raneem was when she was a freshman, she had Ivy Brown in there, and that changed things for her. And so they're both going to be good players someday. But Raneem changes the court for us because she gives us a presence. Just like Charles Bassey gives a presence for the men's team. And it's somebody that the players can confidently throw the ball to. And she can make great decisions. She can score. But she also can get players easy shots. And that just helps everything. And of course, she's going to go rebound the ball as well. So it changes everything.
And Coach, just another question: just having the game Thursday, Sunday, as opposed to Friday, Saturday. I know you haven't played it yet, but do you think you are going to prefer that, having a couple days off, even though you're playing the same team, as opposed to playing back-to-back nights?
Absolutely. There's no doubt that I would rather have at least a day in between to help our young players just kind of, all right, these are the adjustments that they're likely to make. This is how we're going to be able to counter and prepare for that next opponent. It takes a little bit of time to kind of do that on the fly. So when you've got a lot of young players out there, I felt like they were really ready for our first game on Friday. I felt like then we got to Saturday, you can't make a whole lot of changes. And clearly Louisiana Tech had adjusted. And I think also there was a fatigue factor in there. You know, I think that they had some good players that ended up in foul trouble. And they had some players that didn't play as many minutes as some of our players played. And so I think that kind of caught up with us a little bit as well. So I'm hoping that having a day in between will help us with preparation and rest. And so I'm think we'll see a little bit better second game effort. Not that they didn't try hard and play hard, it's just maybe a better second game performance than we see in these back-to-back. So at some point we got to get our legs under us and get used to that, because that's the only way you win a conference championship is win 3 games in 3 days.
Coach Jared with the Daily News, just to follow up on Raneem. I know you said she's kind of back into things and trying to get back into what she was last year, but to be clear, is she expected to play tomorrow or no?
Right now, no. We're hopeful, but right now, no. She's not able to play tomorrow, and so we'll take that day by day. That could change. We could get off the Zoom call and they could change. And so we're still going through these steps. And she's working out. She's eating Popeyes, trying to get her game weight back. And so you know, she's here. She's happy. She's anxious to play, and we're looking forward to that day, if it's tomorrow or Thursday or next week.
Taryn Johnson, WNKY 40 TV. Coach, going back to last weekend's games, obviously Saturday's contest is not the result you want, but you have a couple of young guns step up and lead the team in scoring. Hope goes for 23, Allie goes for 12. You know, those two in particular, what have you seen from them as far as their progression from the last game on December 20th to this past weekend, playing a back-to-back and, you know, leading the team offensively in the back-to-back on Saturday?
They're settling down, Taryn. They're getting more calm. We're still a little bit. We're still not as secure with the ball as I think we need to be. I think we're still a little bit, but we've calmed down, and they're looking for the right type of shots. I feel like all the shots that Hope Sabori took at La Tech in this second game were good shots, and I think that resulted in why she scored, and so the way she did. But we still got. We've got other areas that they both are working hard on every day in practice. I see improvement. Sometimes those things don't show up in games yet, but they're learning and they're growing and they're getting better and they're getting confident and they're calming down. And as they do that, we'll keep getting better. And Raneem will help, because that will take some of that perimeter pressure off.
Coach Jared with the Daily News. I know you mentioned Savannah Wheeler at Marshall. She's an in-state kid that a lot of people around the area know about. I know you saw her last year as a freshman, and some of your younger kids probably saw her during high school. I know Hope played her a couple times during her high school career. You know, what's it going to take to try to keep her from going off and having a big day and try to keep her in check?
You can't lose her, and by losing her, you may think you're guarding her, but you may not be close enough, because she can still get the shot off. And really, what her threat, as great of a threat as she is from a three-point line or just shooting, I believe her one of her greatest threats is her ability to get to the free throw line. She is really gifted at knowing how to draw fouls and get to the free throw line. And so we've got to be able to keep track of her and not foul her. And so I think that's what that'll be a challenge for all of us. She's a really talented player. That's why she's leading that team.
I know you mentioned their 56 points per game and how that would change if they have some of these players back. But as of right now, you guys are the two bottom offensive teams in the conference, but both in the top half defensively in the conference. Neither team really has shot the ball great this year, and you always talk about rebounding and its importance. How much more important is rebounding in a game like this?
Yeah, I mean, good question and a good answer in that question. Like that's it. Like if you got two teams that aren't shooting the ball well, you better be good at rebounding. And so that's what it'll come down to, is making sure we defend and rebound. We've got to remember that they still have good shooters. They've not shot the ball particularly well this season, but they're still good shooters. Just like Louisiana Tech has some kids that can really shoot the ball well, as they proved here last year in the last game of the season. And so you can't forget, just because we've got a short sample size or a small sample size, that all of a sudden, well, that's reflective of their overall ability, because it's not. And I think there's a lot of things that factor into that, as well as the just this COVID stuff that's going on. But these kids, they can still shoot the ball. Pearson can shoot the ball. Wheeler can shoot the ball, and so you have to guard them as shooters. I think that their scoring changes if you have Mayo and Roper and Civils on the floor. I think that scoring changes a lot, and so we have to guard them as quality shooters that they are, not necessarily the way they've shot the ball in these early games.
Anything else?
All right. I'm going to wear a bow tie for you, Taryn, at the ball game now.
Coach, I was running back in here. You caught me in the other room when the festivities started.
I saw that. I thought maybe you were at the Academy Awards or something. So, all right, you guys.
Later tonight.
I get some food before we get on this bus.
All right.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, William.